Good evening, Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. আমি আপনাদের সবাইকে শুভেচ্ছা জানাচ্ছি on Channel 52 on our special episode with Census 2020. So to talk about this Census 2020, this might be one of the last episodes as we are coming very close to the counting. And I have invited John Bartlett, the freeholder, and Commissioner Floyd. So thank you guys for joining me tonight.
Thank you very much, Amber. We're so glad to be here one more time to talk about Census 2020, now that we are down to the very last days.
Yes. And thank you, Farid, for joining
us. Okay. Of course, I'm so excited. I hope this is the last one.
Yes. So as we are getting really close to the nitpicks and we are collecting numbers, Patterson, Passaic County is based on a very diverse and population which is living difficult to count as numerators. Myself has been working with the numerators. So John, I want you to explain everything, so everybody knows what's the update. So please take the floor.
Thank you. Well, there's a lot of breaking news, Amber, and I appreciate you and Channel 52 having me on to explain it all. We have had a real moving target when it comes to the end date of the census count. Back in 2019, when we were starting to plan before COVID-19 came along, the end date was going to be August 15th. With COVID-19 and all the ways in which that delayed the enumerators going out and starting to knock on doors, the ways that it challenged us in doing the outreach work that we were working with you and so many other communities on, the Census Bureau announced in the spring that they would extend the deadline to October 31st, which was great. If we could go all the way to Halloween, that would give us a lot of time in this period right now where people are coming back out and interacting more, both for us to do the community outreach and for the enumerators to keep knocking on people's doors, the Census Bureau staff that do the counting for people who don't self-respond. What happened then, however, is that for what a lot of us believe are very political reasons, the Trump administration and the Census Bureau announced, no, it's not going to be October 31st. It's going to be September 30th. We're cutting it short by a month. That took us all by surprise during the summertime, and it actually prompted some litigation. A group of organizations and states filed a lawsuit out in California in the federal court over this issue of how long will we continue the count. And it's important because there are communities like Patterson, communities like our Bangladeshi community across New Jersey and across the country, where they are immigrant communities, they are young communities, they're communities with all different kinds of people in terms of citizenship and legal status, and they're hard to count. They're communities where we need every last day to count them. So this litigation went on, and about a week ago, the judge in that case, Judge Lucy Coe in the California Federal Court, ordered the Census Bureau to continue the count until October 31st. The Census Bureau announced that it was continuing the count until October 5th, which is next Monday. And that's what we knew as of this morning. What happened this afternoon is that the Trump administration's appeal of Judge Coe's order was denied by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. So at this time, the Census Bureau is under a federal court order to continue counting until the 31st. But here's the thing. So far, they've only said they're going to keep counting until the 5th. And we know that they're already starting to lay off staff. They're already starting to tell enumerators, okay, you're finished. Don't count anybody else. So that makes the work of Channel 52 and Farid and Neela and Amber and so many others who are very involved in this so important, because people can still self-report at least until next Monday, October 5th. But probably a census enumerator won't be coming to your door. It's important for you to go to my2020census.gov and respond. So that's the latest. What can I answer for you?
No, thank you for clarifying this. So I just want to make sure that for our audience back there, Farid, if you can please translate it in Bangla so everybody can understand.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Channel 52. Assalamu alaikum, those who are watching us. So, John Bartlett, প্রিয় জন বার্টলেট এখন আমাদেরকে যেটা বললেন যে আজকে ছিল কিন্তু আমাদের সেন্সাস 2020 ডেডলাইন। Here's a great news. আমরা আর 5 দিন সময় আমাদের এক্সটেন্ড করা হয়েছে, যেটা হচ্ছে এখন যে ডেডলাইন আছে হচ্ছে অক্টোবরের 5 তারিখে। তো আমরা তো এই 5 দিনে আমরা যারা কাউন্টেড হই নাই, তো এই চান্সটা আমরা ইউজ করতে পারবো। উনি ডিটেইলস বলেছেন যে ক্যালিফোর্নিয়ার কোর্টে কি হয়েছে, এক্সটেনশনটা হলো। আমাদের এত কিছু না জানলেও চলবে, বাট আমাদের যেটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট হচ্ছে আমাদের হাতে এখন 5 দিন সময় আমরা যেটা ইউজ করতে পারবো। 2020 সেন্সাসের যেটা আমরা কেন বলছি এটা গ্রেট নিউজ, আমরা আমাদের যে কমিউনিটি এটাকে আমরা হার্ড কাউন্ট কমিউনিটি কাউন্ট করতে পারি, যেখানে আমরা আমাদের নাম্বারটা অনেক নিচে underway. So I think these 5 days we can implement and we can make sure that everyone is to be counted by these 5 days. আর যেটা হচ্ছে গিয়ে দেখেন, আমরা লাস্ট কয়েকটা উইকেন্ড আমি এম্বার সহ আমাদের অনেক ভলান্টিয়ার বিভিন্ন জায়গায় আমরা বসেছি। We try to help you with the census form. অনেকেই আমাদের কাছে এসেছে, over about 300 people came. We helped them, which was a great turnout. আমার মনে হয় যে এই যে 5 days আমাদের কাছে আছে, we can use these days. এখন যেটা করা যেতে পারে, হয়তো আপনাদের নিউমারেটর ডোর টু ডোর হয়তো আপনাদের কাছে যাওয়া সম্ভব হবে না এই 5 ডেজ, যেহেতু লিমিটেড টাইম। যেটা আপনাদেরকে করতে হবে, আপনারা যেতে হবে ওয়েবসাইটে, যেখানে গিয়ে আপনারা রেসপন্স করতে পারেন মাই 2020 সেন্সাস, যেখানে গেলে আপনি 5 মিনিটের মধ্যেই কিন্তু আপনি রেসপন্স করতে পারছেন। আর তাছাড়া হেল্প লাগলে আমি আছি, এম্বার আছি, আমরা যাদেরকে আপনারা সুবিধা মনে করেন কন্ট্যাক্ট করে আপনারা কন্ট্যাক্ট করতে পারেন। We are ready to help you.
Thank you for reiterating. I just want to make sure that everybody does understand that 5 days is a lot. It's a couple of hours. Every single second does count. I don't want people to get discouraged that it's only 5 days. Every single day does count. We have been able to collect whatever we were able to collect by the numerators, and as John said, it was decided, and we don't have numerators as much, but we are still here. We will be hosting our next event on a health fair. If you guys can please show the flyer on the screen. Within this health fair, we are offering, free screening, COVID testing, and flu shots. This is the one in Spanish, if you can show the one in English. And we are going to have a tent for Census Bureau. So please stop by. And, we will be there. I will be there. Commissioner Farid will be there. And we will have our volunteers helping out. It's only literally take 5 minutes. Sometimes it's even less than 5 minutes. So have your final count. And it's going to be in Kennedy, and it's going to be outdoor.
Yeah.
So, John, I have a question.
Right.
I know we have been talking about this. Why is it important? And I know situation has changed. Why do you still think that this 5 days we can still make some change?
Well, there's a lot of good news for me to share about the census. Patterson and Passaic County are both at a higher level of response already than we accomplished in any of the last 3 censuses. So we're doing better than 2010, 2000, and 1990. Patterson has reached 54%. The city of Passaic has reached 62%. Countywide, we're at almost 70%. That's good news, and there's a lot of good news to a lot of people to thank for that good news, including Farid and you and your team who've been out at BD Supermarket. But think about those numbers again. If you know that Patterson is at about 54%, that means that almost half of Patterson hasn't been counted yet. And those are going to be the hardest folks to reach, the ones maybe with limited English proficiency, maybe the students, young parents who don't get out much, folks who we can best reach connecting with them in the community. And that's why what you've been doing at BD Supermarket is so important. That's why our Spanish language census outreach that's been at 5 supermarkets across Passaic County each of the last 4 weekends is so important. So there's good news. We're getting the count up higher than we've had it before, but the opportunity to do even more is amazing. And the difference that it makes is huge. If any of your viewers have participated in any of the COVID related relief, if you've gone to our food distribution sites, if your business has applied for grant funding to help you get through the COVID recession, if you have gone to our testing site or to our mobile testing sites, if you've done our free in home COVID 19 testing. All of that is possible because of money that we got from the federal government to provide that relief. And why did we get that money? We got that money because in March, the United States Congress, including our Congressman Bill Pascrell, passed the CARES Act. And the CARES Act said the federal government will give money directly to any government, any local or county government with a population of at least 500,000 people, at least 500,000 people. Well, in 2010, Amber, we counted 501,000 residents in Passaic County. That tiny achievement of getting over 500,000 is what enabled us to do all of this COVID relief we've been doing for the last 5 months. So that's an example from what all of us have been dealing with this year of how important it is. We count every family, every household. If you're watching and you've already responded to the census, thank you. Go out your front door, look to your left, look to your right. One of those neighbors hasn't responded to the census yet. Go remind them this weekend, the next 5 days is their chance to do that.
Thank you, John. As you said, today I was, doing my gas, getting gas, and I asked the guy on the gas station that have you fill up your census, and he said, "What is that?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I have somebody who hasn't done it."
Good for you. Good. We all know somebody. And by the way, wherever you are watching this, every town has people who haven't responded. We've been focusing a lot on Patterson, of course, when we talk here on Channel 52, because that's where so many of our Bangladeshi community are. But even in my town of Wayne, folks who live in the apartments along Valley Road and in some of the other multifamily housing, those folks are undercounted. Wayne altogether is above 80%, but those folks, those tracts within Wayne are down below 70%. Every place has somebody that hasn't been counted yet, and we all need to reach out to them.
Yes, the multi units are difficult to count for numerator.
And we all can play a role to.
That's absolutely right, Fareed. Everybody, at this point, with 5 days left, everybody has to play a role. Because I've talked to everybody who will listen to me. Fareed and Amber, you've probably talked to almost everybody who will listen to you, except maybe the gas station guy. But somebody out there who's watching knows somebody else, or has a tenant, or rents a room in their home, and that person's part of their household, even if it's not related to them. And counting everybody is so important.
Yeah. So that actually includes our message.
So Amber, I want to add something here that.
Please do.
Amber, so I'm sorry. So I want to add here that so some new mergers went to the door, and the family, the same people provided information to us, those who are known in the community, so that if a neighbor talked to the neighbor, or a relative talked to a relative, or someone knows someone and tells to respond to the census, they will take it more seriously than the numerators who's working on the field. Because we noticed that, and both of us were on the field, and we saw that the people who were not responding, they were saying no to the numerators, but they came to us and they trusted us, and they responded to the census 2020. So it is our responsibility to every single individual living here in Passaic County, in Patterson, to inform the neighbor or the relative who they think is not counted yet, So I think we all should play a role for at least for these 5 days.
You're absolutely right, Fareed.
Yes, so back to, it does not just entail our kids. Definitely, preschools. Everybody wants to put their kids by Kennedy because most of the population is there. Uh, but as I was talking with Board of Ed, they said that, Amber, if you want more preschools, we have to see the data. It has to be proven on the data that, more Bangladeshi community is needed. We need to have more schools around, schooling, hospitals. And not only that, senior citizens, their Medicaid and Medicare gets impacted. If when we were doing it in front of the mosque and they were saying that, this does not matter as much to us, I said, of course it does matter to you, because you would want to have Meals on Wheels, the halal option. How are we going to ask for a halal option if the numbers are not proving? So everything.
Those
Yep.
Those are two great examples, Amber. You're absolutely right. Both of those examples are spot on. And I'll give you another example specific to the Bangladeshi community. I sat for several years on the Passaic County Board of Social Services. That's where you go to access things like food stamps and housing assistance and Medicaid and other kinds of help that the government can provide people who are struggling economically, preventing homelessness. We have folks come in pretty frequently from the Bangladeshi community, and for some of them, English language is a challenge. Well, to hire bilingual staff, to show that we need the opportunity to hire this many people from the Bangladeshi community, people who speak Bengali or Sylheti or the specific dialect of this community, to be able to say, here's what we need and here's the funding that we need to provide that bilingual support. That's exactly the kind of thing that having those Bengali community responses will enable us to do.
Absolutely. We have a couple of our viewers watching and giving thumbs up, and I really appreciate everyone. We have Bridget here saying, yes, that's correct. Patterson and Prospect Park, everyone should play a role. Please fill out your census. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Bridget, for responding with us, and she's a leader herself in her community. Any last messages for you then, John, you want to give?
I defer to Fareed, and I would say
So
whatever we've been saying, say it again in Bengali, in Bangla, so that folks who are watching know how important this is. But I've said my piece, and I'm grateful to Channel 52 for being part of this effort all along.
Thank you. Fareed, the
thank
floor
you,
is yours.
Fiolder Bartlett. I'm just going to translate, yes, in Bengali. So as Fiolder said, and we are trying to emphasize one more time that সেন্সাসের ডেটার উপরে ডিপেন্ড করে আমাদের localities receive federal fund থেকে কিন্তু মানি রিসিভ করে over $675 billion ফান্ড যেটা আমাদের লোকালিটিস বা স্টেট গভর্নমেন্টে আসে, যেটা দিয়ে আমাদের মেডিকেড, আমাদের স্পেশাল এডুকেশনাল প্রোগ্রামস যেগুলো বাইলিঙ্গুয়াল প্রোগ্রাম বলেন, যদি দেখা যায় এখানে বাংলাদেশি বা বাংলা ভাষার মানুষ বেশি বসবাস করছে, ওদের ডিমান্ড হচ্ছে বাইলিঙ্গুয়াল প্রোগ্রামস। এরকম প্রোগ্রামের জন্য ফান্ডিং দেওয়া হচ্ছে। স্পেশাল প্রোগ্রামসের বাচ্চা যারা স্পেশাল নিডস, তাদেরকে স্পেশাল সার্ভিসের জন্য কিন্তু এখান থেকেই সেন্সাসের ডেটার উপর ডিপেন্ড করে কিন্তু ফান্ডিংটা দেওয়া হয়। স্কুলের লাঞ্চ, যেটা ফ্রি লাঞ্চ, যে ন্যাশনাল লাঞ্চ প্রোগ্রাম, সেটার ফান্ডিং কিন্তু সেন্সাসের উপর ডিপেন্ড করে হচ্ছে। হেড স্টার্ট প্রোগ্রাম, যেখানে আমাদের বেশিরভাগ বাংলাদেশি স্টুডেন্ট যারা এখানে বাচ্চা যারা আছে, ফিটনেস অ্যাভিনিউর যে হেড স্টার্ট আছে ওখানে যাচ্ছে, অনেক কিন্তু আবার সিট পাচ্ছে না, কারণ আমাদের লিমিটেড নাম্বার, যারা সেন্সাসের নাম্বার অনুসারে কিন্তু আমাদের নাম্বার অনেক কম, কিন্তু দেখা যাচ্ছে অনেক বেশি স্টুডেন্ট কিন্তু অ্যাপ্লাই করছে। এখন যদি সেন্সাসে আমাদের বাচ্চাদেরকে ইনক্লুড করি, হেড স্টার্ট প্রোগ্রামগুলো আরো বেশি প্রোগ্রাম পেতে পারে। আমরা সবাইকে এটাই বলবো যে আপনারা নিঃসন্দেহে এটা সম্পূর্ণভাবে সেফ, ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট। আপনারা নিঃসন্দেহে আপনারা সেন্সাস 2020 তে রেসপন্ড করেন। হেল্প লাগলে আমরা আছি, আপনাদেরকে যে কোনো সময় আমাদেরকে কন্ট্যাক্ট করতে পারবেন, আমরা অবশ্যই হেল্প করবো। এম্বার হক মেনশন করলেন যে আমাদের যে হেলথ ফেয়ার আছে আগামী শনিবারে, জন এফ কেনেডি স্কুলের পার্কিং লটে। আপনারা এখানে আসতে পারেন, আমি এম্বার থাকবো আমাদের ভলান্টিয়ার নিয়ে, ও আমরা আপনাদেরকে যতটুকু হেল্প লাগে আমরা অবশ্যই করব। আর অনলাইনে করতে পারলে তো ভালো, it's going to take less than 10 minutes to respond online.
I actually want to acknowledge our Councilman Gulman Chaudhry. He has a question, and it's an amazing, phenomenal question. What are some of the unique barriers facing the Bangladeshi community when filling out the census? First of all, I really appreciate Councilman. You're doing a great job, and we're doing the health fair and with the collaboration of him. This is a great question. There are a lot of barriers. Language barrier was there, but we got enumerators, and people having that insecurity of that something is going to be reported to the government. I think a lot of people still have that. And we all know that there's a $250,000 fine if any information is going to be linked. Even in my enumerators, we don't share addresses with each other. That's how we are keeping in mind the information for each other. The other thing is that when people go outside and we ask proxies are that if this person is not home and the neighbor is there, say for instance, I can be a proxy of my neighbor if he's not home because I know him, I have a relationship with him, I know how many people they have in the house. If he sees me, he can use me, a numerator can use me as a proxy. And there is nothing illegal about it because, in a community we live together. Just like মহল্লার ভিতরে আমরা একসাথে থাকি, আমরা একজন একজনকে চিনি। তো এখানে ওই জিনিসটা ওইভাবে নেওয়া হয়। So this is one of the barriers that people don't want to give information because we are in American society. We don't want to get in trouble saying things, but in census that's not considered as a trouble. This is a help that you're doing to each other. You're not leaking anybody's information. The other thing is that you don't have to have the date of birth. If you just can give an estimate, I'm 60 or 40 or 15 years old, the counting is done. Most of our Bangladeshi population are living either in basement or attic. There's no problem. It can be counted under the same address as long as we have count of those 12 or 15 people. When I was doing in Masjid Adam, there was one family stopped by. He said that, oh, I have 15 people. I said, that's good, alhamdulillah. We are going to count every single one of them because John, I know Inga was saying that for each person is 2,500 funding. So if you have 4, it's the funding of $10,000. So this is how much it matters. Each person count, each dollar count. And in an election, we are stuck for 4 years. But with census, it's 10 years.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And counting everyone, when you said you had someone at the masjid with 15 people in their household, I got so excited because that's a great big number. I've got 3 in mine. I feel like I should have more. But because the more we count, the more resources that we get. But it's an important reminder. I like the election analogy that you gave, which is this is an opportunity to be heard and do it in a way that is going to last for the next 10 years. And it's not just an opportunity that belongs to citizens. And it's not just an opportunity that belongs to people over 18. We count everybody regardless of citizenship. We count kids, we count babies. Every last one of them matters from now until 2030, but we got 5 more days to do it.
Absolutely right. I have a numerator, Yasmin Begum, asking the last question. Can we expect to get Bangladeshi translator in the classroom along with Spanish teacher? Yasmin, you just joined that. John Bartlett has beautifully explained that. How are we going to do this? For anything, you need to prove your data. Everything is data proven. So, of course, it can be possible if we have, and you as numerators has picked up that option of Bengali or Bangladeshi ethnicity. That icon of other was there, so you guys can go inside and make sure that you are marking your ethnicity as Bengali, Hispanic, Pakistani, Arab, whoever you are. So you counted in that, background.
Yep. That's right. And if you're in a diverse
Right.
household, everybody gets counted in their own way. My wife is originally from India, so I'm counted as white with my Scottish background. She fills out Asian Indian and then Asian South Asian and then adds Indian in the field. A Bangladeshi person would fill out South Asian and then add Bangladeshi in the field. And for our son, we check both boxes.
Awesome. Beautiful. So, having said that, thank you so much, John and Farid. We're going to conclude. And as I said, you matter. We all matter. Please pay attention to yourself, to your rights. This is, as John said, that, for voting, you need to be a citizen. For this, you don't even have to be a citizen. You don't even have to have legal paperwork to have your voice. So, আপনারা সবাই
Amber,
ভালো
I think I should add one more thing that Amber, I think I should add one more thing that if any mosque or any church were to host an event in these 5 days and they want our help to help them with the volunteers to to host the event, we are ready to do that. Let's use these 5 days. So if anybody interested to host an event and they need us, I think we'd love to go and help them out.
That's great.
Thank you so much, ladies. The last comment, 10 minutes for 10 years. Absolutely right, Farah. 10 minutes for 10 years. Having said that, thank you everyone. আপনারা সবাই ভালো থাকেন আর নিজের কাউন্টিংটা এটা মনোযোগ দিয়ে নেন।
All right.
Okay.
Good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.